video covers the electroplating process, electroless plating, and the difference between the electroplating and electroless plating. So the first, I'll take electroplating. What is electroplating? The electroplating is the process of deposition of thin and uniform layer of suitable metal over the surface of base metal by electrolysis. Like usual coating metal is zinc, copper, cadmium, or aluminium, platinum, gold are used. So electroplating bath, if you want to study, so it is similar to electrolytic cell, in which the base metal to be coated is made as cathode. That is the coat. If you want to coat a this iron, want to coat a copper over iron, then iron act as a base metal and take as cathode, whereas copper is a anode. Okay, coating metal. Okay, here the cathode is a base metal. It should, and the one main thing is it should have electrically conducting surface. The coating metal itself acts as an anode, or sometimes we may use an inert anode, and the sufficient quantity of electrolyte solutions of soluble salt of the coating metal is added to maintain the metal ion concentration constant. So that's why here in the electrolytic bath contains a metal ion which is coated over the surface of base metal. When you pass an electric current, that the metallic ions of the electrode anode, if you use active anode, dissolves, or otherwise the inert anode, if you in the electrolyte metal ions are present, they migrate towards the cathode and gets deposited the metal. At anode, the simultaneously metal ion dissolution is observed if active anode is used. The reactions can be represented like Mn plus n number of electron is taken by the metal ion and forming a metal and get deposited over the surface of cathode. At the same time, anode reaction metal giving rise to metal ion and the n number of electrons. This is an electroplating process. Whereas in the case of electroless plating, as a name itself, without using electric current, the process is carried out. So, electroless plating is the controlled depositions. Here it is not a simple deposition, it is a controlled deposition. We will control the thickness, it's possible. Controlled deposition of a continuous film of metal or alloy from a salt solution onto a catalytically active surface by using suitable reducing agent. Here we use a reducing agent instead of using a current. Reducing agent supplies electrons. Without using electric current, we carry electroless plating. The controlled deposition of continuous film of a metal or alloy from a salt solution onto a catalytically active surface by using suitable reducing agent without using electric current. And that method would be called as electroless plating. We may represent this electroless plating. In the electroless plating, a bath contains a metal ion. The main basic things required to carry electroless plating can be summarized like this. Here, it should contain a metal ion. One thing, it should contain a metal ion. Another thing is, it should contain a reducing agent for the reduction process. Along with this, we may introduce some complexing agent. Why we introduce this complexing agent? To minimize the metal ion concentration. Just to minimize metal ion concentration. And even you have to stabilize this solution by adding stabilizer. So we may introduce even stabilizer. Okay. And these are the things you have to introduce, and even you can maintain a pH by adding a buffer, and even accelerator is introduced, and even some brightener we introduce. These are the components we normally observe in an electroless plating. Even these complexing agents and buffer and even accelerators we may use even for electroplating process. And electroless plating is the reduction of metal ion. That is, a metal ion takes In the presence of reducing agent on the catalytic surface, it gets reduced and get deposited as a metal along with the metal. The inclusion of oxidizing agent are observed or oxidized product also observed. So that the driving force in the case of electroless plating is a autocatalytic redox reaction. It is a autocatalytic redox reaction over pre-treated catalytic surface instead of electric current as in case of electroplating. But while carrying electrolysis plating, we have to take care whether the material used as a base material used, whether it is a conducting one, non-conducting one, or a catalytic surface, is it possess a catalyst? We have to consider all those things. Based on that we have to conduct a surface preparation, or in other words, pre-treatment. We have to carry a pre-treatment. The catalytically active metals like nickel, cobalt, rubidium, they do not require any surface preparation because it is already catalytically active. So the reduction over the surface of this base metal is easy. If we use a non-catalytic metals such as a copper, brass, silver, they need activation. The activation can be done by dipping the article in palladium chloride HCl solution. This is particularly if the material is a non-catalytic, but it is a metal, conducting one. If the material is a non-conductor, like glass, ceramics, etc., then it should be activated by first by dipping stannous chloride, HCl. Then after rinsing, it is immersed in palladium chloride, HCl. Then it should be subjected to electroless plating. Then I'll consider the basic difference between the electroplating and electroless plating. In electroplating process, by supplying electric current by the electrolysis, we'll carry that process. That means the driving force in electroplating process is the electrolysis, or electrolysis is by the passage of passing electric current, by passing electric current, current. Whereas in the case of electroless plating, the driving force is the autocatalytic reduction reaction over pre-treated surface. Okay, it's autocatalytic reduction reaction. Driving force in case of electroless plating is autocatalytic redox reaction. In the case of electroplating, we use a separate anode. A separate anode is used which is connected to the positive terminal of the battery. Whereas in electroless, anode is a catalytically active surface of the substrate. The article to be made as cathode in case of electroplating, which is connected to the negative terminal of the battery and is considered as a cathodic, or the cathode reaction takes place. Whereas electroless plating, the catalytically active substrate is the site for cathode reaction. The main thing in the case of electroplating, reduction is brought about by electron, whereas in case of electroless, reduction is brought about by reducing agent. That's why in all electroless plating, you have to introduce reducing agent. And in case of electroplating, the nature of the deposit is pure metal or a definite alloy. Whereas in electroplating, the metal is contaminated with oxidized or reduced species. So these are the basic difference what we observed between electroplating and electroless plating. There are some advantages of electroless plating. So if you carry the electroless plating, we observe some advantages. The first advantage is it do not require electrical power source. So we need not to introduce electrical power source. Is not required in case of electroless plating. Okay, and they possess a better throwing power. That is, the deposition is uniform. So better throwing power. Throwing power of a plating bar is the nothing but it tells about the uniform distribution of metal ion over entire surface, irrespective of the size and their shape. And this electroless plating can be applied to conductor, all kind of components, conductor, semiconductors, and even for non-conductors. So it can be applied to conductor, semiconductor, non-conductor, whereas its electroplating can apply only on the surface of conductor. And the resulting deposition is a unique property. We observe a unique properties of metal deposition. In case of electroless plating. And even in electroless plating, levelers are not required. Whereas in case of electroplating, levelers should be introduced in order to make a thin and uniform coating. In this case, levelers are not required. And the coating developed by electroless plating are much harder compared to electroplating. The coating is harder in case of electroless plating. These are the main advantage of electroless plating. This is about electroplating, electroless plating, the difference between the electroplating and electroless plating, advantage of electroless plating over electroplating.